Hey, it's Kim Commando Today, your daily podcast to keep you up to date with all things digital and beyond. And I'd love to have you be a part of our podcast. You can make an appointment to speak with me. Just head over to commando.com, and on the top right, there's a button that says Email Kim. Fill that out, and that's it. Hey, it's Kim Commando Today. It's your fun podcast about all things digital. And what's different about the Kim Commando Show versus Kim Commando Today is that Kim Commando Today is a place where we can actually talk to people. I mean, not just like talk to everyday people. I mean, talk to people that have things going on in the news. And then joining me, as always, is Andrew Babinski. Hi there, Andrew.
Hello, Kim. How are you?
So we're going to be talking to a couple in just a few minutes about their OnlyFans account. Have you ever thought about getting an OnlyFans account?
Not for 1 nanosecond. I've actually, and this is the honest truth. I've never been on OnlyFans. I don't know how it works. I don't know if you pay monthly. I don't know if you pay per view. I've never used OnlyFans.
I've never gone there either, but I do have a grandmotherly friend of the family. And she's on Only Nans.
I've been there. I love Only Nans. That's a great site.
So Gow and Carmen Wilson, they are a married couple, and they like to make sexy videos. And they started an OnlyFans account last fall, and they called themselves the Sexy Happy Couple. Okay. And they quickly grew to 10,000 subscribers. They say that they just do it for fun. Okay, they're having a great time at it. And, you know, they're obviously a happily married couple. Okay. Now, Gow at the time was a chancellor at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. And the university found out about the videos in the OnlyFans account. And then Joe was fired from his chancellor position for what the university says, this is a quote, failure to demonstrate appropriate judgment, decision-making, and leadership. So he was fired for that. But Joe's also a tenured professor at the same university, and they're trying to fire him from that job too. So Joe and Carmen are here right now to talk to us all about it. So how did you get started on OnlyFans? Where did the idea come from?
Well, hi, Kim. And, we're delighted to be with you and Andrew, and Carmen's here.
Hello.
As well. And, you know, I guess we ought to start out by saying we're not the typical OnlyFans people. We didn't set out to make money from this. It was a hobby that we enjoyed. And we thought, like, let's see what happens if we put it on OnlyFans. And, you know, when they fired me as chancellor, it drew so much attention that we went from, you know, like 3 people following us to 10,000 overnight, really. Oh, wow. And yeah, it was quite unusual. And as I say, it's not our primary thing. And so we don't do, a lot of people on OnlyFans, they do what's called custom content, where they interact with people who pay them to do X, Y, or Z and interact. Our thing is we just made some videos over the years, about a 10-year period. And we thought, well, maybe people would want to see them and see if they like them.
So we started out making the videos purely for our own home library. We were not intending to release them in any way, shape, or form until last fall. And Joe we had decided that he would step down from his chancellor position at the end of the academic year and go back to the classroom. And he'd been a very successful, long-serving chancellor, and it seemed like the right time to step back. And I had been in higher education administration myself, and that I had some pretty negative experiences recently, and I decided that I was no longer interested in that kind of a career path. And so we were thinking, well, what next? And I like to cook. I do vegan cooking, and you know, we've made these videos with adult talent, and we combine the vegan cooking with the sex scene. And so we thought, why not put these out there? We put them out on OnlyFans and loyal fans, and really, as Joe said, nobody really cared. You know, a few people would watch them, and then the Universities of Wisconsin administration discovered our videos somehow. Someone told them, and he was fired. And their publicity led to, just a huge increase in people watching.
Boy. that's fascinating to me. How did the university come to you? Did they sit you guys down? Did they sit you down, Joe, or did they send you an email, or how did they notify you?
Well, they called me into a Zoom meeting and they said, we have a personnel situation we want to discuss. Now, I was chancellor for 16 years, so I did lots of personnel situations, and I knew the attorney, and there was a person from their HR, and then they began asking, well, we heard you have these videos and books, is that true? And so I was like, oh, okay, you found out, and explained what we were doing. And I thought maybe they'd say, well, we have a problem with that and you should take them down and, that kind of thing. But what happened was 7 days later, I got an email saying you're fired. And they also put out a statement to the media about how horrible and disgusting we are. And of course, when you do that, everybody wants to find out what is it.
So now I have a question. You said no one was subscribing before the publicity, and then afterwards, do you charge for the page?
Yeah, because you have to.
Well, we charge. There are different ways that it can be set up, but on the paid wall sites, you have to put a price of some kind. We charge per video. And so once a person would purchase a video, they have it, forever. So they can watch it as many times as they like.
And the sites, of course, they need to have a percentage that they take. So that's why you can't give it away there.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. And then you also said you wrote a couple of books. Were those posted for sale online in conjunction with the OnlyFans page before? What is the timeline there?
No, we put out the first book in 2016, and then we wrote a second book in about I think 2019, 2018, and put those on Amazon. But we use pen names, and there too you have to have a certain price. And the books, even today, nobody really cares about the books. Yeah. It's kind of striking how our society now is just so much more video oriented than print oriented.
So you get fired. Do you go see a lawyer at that point?
Well, they launched this big investigation into me, the university system, and they hired some outside attorneys and forensic computer experts, and very intimidating. And I've been around this a little bit. Their gambit is they want me to go hire a lawyer and start spending a lot of money on legal fees. And then they come back and say, well, let's settle this and we'll, pay your fees and you retire. And I wasn't interested in, going down that path. I think there's a real principle here. People forget we work at universities, and universities are supposed to be very staunch advocates for free speech and expression. And so that's what this is really about, although we just finished some hearings the other day, and that was not about free speech. It was all about, what did we do, when, where, how, But to answer your question, I defended myself there. And I think I did pretty well. And Carmen was by my side and was my advisor. And we're waiting now to learn what the hearing committee is going to recommend.
So when you say you defended
Go ahead, Andrew.
So when you say you're defending yourself, you're fighting to be able to keep your position as the chancellor and saying that your free speech was violated by them firing you?
No, he was fired as chancellor, and we accepted that.
Okay.
And there's some debate about whether, as chancellor, he would have the right to free speech and expression under this instance. This is about the tenured faculty position. They're trying to strip him of his tenure. And so the hearing was in front of a faculty hearing committee over 2 days, yesterday and the day before, to see if he should retain his tenure. Okay. And so he represented himself before that faculty hearing committee. If the committee makes a recommendation to the interim chancellor, the interim chancellor, who, by the way, brought the charges against him, the interim chancellor makes her recommendation to the president of the system, who is the person who initially filed the complaint, to have him stripped of tenure. That person then makes a recommendation to the Board of Regents, and then he would have a hearing in front of them. I mean, presuming the recommendation is that he should be stripped of tenure, then there would be a hearing at the Board of Regents. At that point, we would potentially reconsider bringing an attorney in to that.
So what does that mean, being stripped of tenure? I'm not familiar because I've never worked in a university setting.
Well, you are hired and then you're evaluated for 5 or 6 years, and you have to show that you're a good teacher and researcher and do some service. And then they say, okay, you have tenure. And then that means to be fired from your job, you have to do something, pretty much illegal, or engage in serious, harassment, or, do bad things to people.
Violate your academic code of ethics, your academic area code of ethics, for example.
And so really what we're seeing is, does us putting videos on OnlyFans rise to that level? And I would just say that this is 2024. And, they often cite this Supreme Court case from 2004 about a San Diego police officer who put sexual videos onto eBay. And the Supreme Court ultimately ruled he could get fired. But that was 20 years ago. Twitter didn't exist. YouTube didn't exist. None of the platforms. And I think we've got to, come to grips with that this is a modern era where people are going to do all kinds of things on social media. Should that be regulated or not? And how and by whom?
Now, knowing what you know now, what you guys have experienced through this entire process, in the first interview, if they would have said, hey, can you just take the stuff down? Hopefully nobody will find it and we'll move on. Would you have agreed to that then?
I guess I'm 63 years old and Carmen's a little younger than me. And so I'm at a point in my career and life where I want to be who I really am. And so I don't know that we would have accepted that deal.
Okay.
Was there anything in like an employment agreement, a contract, anything that you signed that they can bring up to you to say, hey, listen, you agreed that you would not do X, Y, or Z?
So often in these kinds of positions, there's a morality clause, particularly at private institutions, but not at public institutions. So there was nothing like that in Joe's contract as a chancellor.
There is a vague phrase that says you can't do anything inconsistent with the mission of the university. They tend to say that this was inconsistent. I would argue that the mission of the university is to find the truth and disseminate the truth. And so we're doing something that, is really important because, consider how many people look at adult content. I mean, it's more popular than Netflix, some of these sites. And so we ought to be talking about that.
Well, when you talk about morality, I was thinking of all the frat houses and the frat parties. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny, Kim, because we have been contacted by students or people who are former students that say, I put myself through college doing stuff like OnlyFans. And I think one guy was actually on it,
that's right.
So it's not like the students wouldn't be familiar with this.
And also, too, it's OnlyFans. That is a specific niche website. Like you said, 10,000 people are watching or downloading your videos. It's not like it's 330 million. It's a very private thing that's not public. For them to blow up and take away your tenure, it sounds such a severe punishment.
It does.
Well,
it really does.
I'm glad you see it that way.
It does. So what are next steps?
Well, we're waiting to get the faculty report, and I wish I could say I feel confident that they will say don't fire him. I think they'll probably come in in a sort of muddy way, like we're not sure. And then that means the administration really can do what they want to do. And I think they will continue their campaign, and there will be a hearing before the Board of Regents. And at that one, as Carmen said, we'll likely have legal representation. And, we're going to continue to fight this because we think it's an important principle.
If you lose in the system, because it sounds like everything you're working through is in the educational system. If you are at the end, you lose your tenure, you're no longer employed, are your plans then to take it further to other courts, district courts, federal courts?
Well, there have been people who have said that might be possible. I think really we talk a lot about what kind of life do we want to have. And what we really enjoy doing is what we're doing right now. We love to have great conversations about these issues. And so we would be delighted to, travel and go to other campuses and do more media and keep talking about these important issues. And I don't know if there are people who say we could bring a lawsuit and do it, on a contingency basis, and that might happen. But it wouldn't be really our primary mission.
Okay.
Correct.
I have a question about the content of the videos. Like you mentioned that, you do some vegan cooking and then there's the sex scene. Is it pretty much just what you might envision as, like, I want to use the word like, and use air quotes, like regular sex? I mean, there's like nothing, is there like anything like weird going on that the university's like, oh, well, that really was bad? No,
I mean, it is very regular sex, yes. I think the weirdest thing is that, for many of the videos, we bring in talent from the adult entertainment industry, and we do a cooking show with them, which you can see on YouTube under Sexy Healthy Cooking, without the sex. And so we cook some vegan meal, and then once I get it in the oven, we say, and now we're going to break and show this scene that we shot yesterday. And so on YouTube, it's like, if you want to see this, you have to go to another site. And then we come back after the sex scene and, wow, that was fun. And here's the finished vegan meal. And, let's have a glass of wine and enjoy this great food. And then we end. So that's how it goes. But the sex part is really very regular.
And one of the best comments, and we've gotten a lot of great comments because people, they find it, we didn't know this going into it, but because we made these just for ourselves initially, we did what we want to do. And so it's very genuine in a way that a lot of stuff that you would encounter is contrived. Now it's, everything's always staged to some degree or another, but one person said, wow, your videos are hot in a wholesome way. And we thought that was kind of nice. And then you get a lot of these, I can watch this with my partner. Thank you. It's amazing. There are some people who think it's fantastic. And then there's these other people who are out to get me fired who like it's disgusting and horrible.
All right, I just have a quick one because I'm just curious, out of my own curiosity. You said you hire performers. How does that process work, and what does it cost to bring someone in to do a video like that?
Well, we get the good fortune of getting on with a professional studio pretty early on that we hired to shoot just the two of us.
Okay.
With real high production values. And then through that studio, they are in touch with the talent agencies. And then you can hire people. And, we prefer people closer to our age.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of a challenge, because so many people in that industry are younger, but there are some really great folks who've been around it for a long time. And it's been just so cool because you're working with people with degrees from, MIT, Arizona State, Cal Berkeley, USC. I mean, it's a very educated, serious group of people, very professional. The day starts at 8 a.m. and then goes till 5. And we ought to say we shoot the cooking on one day and the sex scene on the other, because to try to do both of those things in one day, particularly for Carmen, would be a lot of work.
But one of our goals is, as we do the cooking, we interview the talent. And one of our goals for those interviews is to really show how just to humanize those folks, because, people don't, a porn star, what is that? I mean, they're people just like us. They go to the grocery store, they have families, and, they went to school, and, so it's really nice just to have a just basic conversation to get to know them.
So how much money are you making a month doing this?
Well, we should preface that by saying that, each one of the videos probably cost about $6,000 to make. We made, like 15, 20 over the years. And so we've spent a good deal of our money. We have not made that back yet, but OnlyFans these days, we probably make $4,000 a month. I mean, we have great respect for people who really are working at it every day, all day, and who make a lot of money. We also have great respect for people on YouTube that can make that go, because that's really hard to generate revenue, because it's through advertising and you have to have millions of views there.
What we say here in the studios is we will look at our YouTube revenues and we'll say, okay, so is that like 12 avocado toasts, or is that 15 avocado?
Yeah, we might get 4 Starbucks coffees a month off of YouTube.
Well, guys, thanks for being here. Please keep us posted on what happens.
We will do that. This has been a pleasure, Kim and Andrew, and we'll come back anytime you'd like.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. We're really grateful.
Well, thanks for being here, guys. Thank you.
How do you fire that guy?
He was such nice people.
They are nice people. He's just living life. That's all he's doing. He's not trying to hurt anybody. He's not trying to make the university look bad. He's just living his life.
He's sitting there doing a couple of sexy videos and a cooking show.
What a joke.
With his wife.
Yeah.
With his wife.
Oh, and some hired help.
Them too. So does this make you want to go out and get an OnlyFans account? Because if it does, I'm just telling you right now, you are going to lose your job. You will, Andrew.
Have I been tenured? I haven't been tenured here at the Kim Commando today. So yeah, it's in jeopardy. I have to wait.
Well, unless you want to like share some of the proceeds.
Oh, there's always the spin. There's always that turn with Kim Commando. Do not do that. What? I'm going to profit from it? I think it's a great idea.
I think we should do that. I'm still trying to get my feet off of that one website, the foot fetish website.
Yeah, I
made a mistake.
You're not making any money off of that either.
No, and I made a mistake. Okay, I was sitting there in Hawaii, and I had my feet up on the lounge chair, and I took a picture of my feet with the ocean. And now, I don't know how many people are doing weird things.
The internet then attacks. What's that website called? You want me to mention it again?
No, please don't.
I won't. I promise. I won't.
Hey, if you ever run across a story in your local news, you're like, hey, you know what? Okay. If you ever run across a story in your local news or even nationally, and you're thinking, oh, wow, that person should be interviewed by Kim Commando. Well, here's what you need to do. Go to commando.com. And then up at the top, there's a button that says Ask Kim. And just fill out that form, put the link to the story in there, and then we will hunt that person down. Which, speaking of our website, if you haven't been to commando.com lately, oh my gosh, you are totally missing out. Speaking of money, I actually lowered the amount of advertising on the website. What? Yes, lowered the amount of advertising. So go to commando.com, Komando.com. When you're there, hit the link that says free newsletter, sign up for our free newsletter because you're going to love that too. And don't forget to tell one person about Kim Commando today. Why? Because knowledge is power, buddy.
This program is a copyrighted production of Westar Multimedia Entertainment and protected by the copyright laws. Any rebroadcast or use of this program for commercial, business, economic, or financial purposes without the written permission of Westar Multimedia Entertainment is strictly prohibited.